Future Commerce is brought to you by Octane AI. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to leverage more customer data and increase your revenue at your brand? The answer should be yes and yes. And with Octane AI, every Shopify and Shopify Plus merchant can do just that. Learn about your customers and collect buyer profile data with engaging quizzes and create personalized campaigns and flows using Facebook Messenger and SMS. Octane AI has plans for any sized business, and Future Commerce listeners get 10% off your first 6 months. So go sign up right now at octaneai.com/future. That's octaneai.com/future. Hello, welcome to Future Commerce. That was a really weird way to phrase it. Welcome to Future Commerce, the podcast about the next generation of commerce. Forget Brian, who you hear laughing. We have Ingrid Cordy back with us.
Yay!
Hey guys.
Hey, oh gosh, it's been too long. It's like almost been a year. I don't know why.
No, it hasn't.
It has.
No, it was like the fall. She was on in the fall.
It was just me and Brian. So
That's right.
There.
Ha!
Yeah, you can tell I don't keep up on when I'm not on the show. I only listen to shows that I'm on. Oh, that's actually, it's funny. I have not listened to the Ben Shot episode yet. So that's actually true.
It's so
I've heard
good.
It's very, very good.
It's so good. You've got to listen to it. Ben's amazing. I love Ben.
But before you go and listen to Ben Shot, listen to Ingrid. Ingrid, you have a little bit of personal news.
I do. I am cooking up a little human. I'm 8 months pregnant.
Woo!
Oh, you're pregnant. I was like, you're cooking up a human, but that's weird. Congratulations to you. I'm so proud to know you and in this like journey in this moment. And I'm going to spend the entirety of the show just picking your brain of what it's like to be pregnant during a pandemic.
Sure. Yeah. Weird.
And you had a little bit of a job shift since the last time I talked to you on the show. Where are you at these days?
Yeah. So I'm over at Noon Hydration, based in Seattle. I actually moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
Dude, Washington State, #1 state to live in.
Yes. I love it. Oh,
I can't with the two of you right now. This is
We now have 2 of the 3 current like podcasters that live in Seattle or Washington, and we're just killing the game over here.
It's crazy. Well, we'll get into some stuff here today, but it's so great to have you back.
Wait. Ingrid also has some other news as well. She was recently featured in a book.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, that's a big one. I got to have a really great conversation with the unbelievably brilliant, as you know, Carrie Masters.
Oh,
yeah. And so I'm in her latest drop, which is the Instacart for CMOs. Check it out on Amazon.com.
I've bought it today. We're recording this on the day of the launch of that book, and I've bought 5 copies so far. So pro tip, this is also in the midst of what I'm going to call grocery shop get-in, where it's like the worst. We went from Shop Talk being the best digital event I'd ever attended to Grocery Shop being the worst digital event that I've ever attended. And if you all are listening, I'm very sorry to say this. If I give you praise, I also have to rib you a little bit. Every one of my meetings have dropped on me. I don't understand it. But the ones that I have attended, I finish the call and then I send them a Kindle edition of Instacart for CMOs. I am so bullish on Instacart. I think it is a game changer for brands to get in there and like actually conquest and be early stage to a marketplace that I think could be as big as Amazon in 10, 15 years. It's insane. Very, very bullish on there. So what did you talk about from your own perspective in the book? What were you quoted as saying?
So I don't have the actual book in my hand. She mailed it to me. So there was a lot. It was like an hour conversation that probably got edited and things like that. But mostly, yeah, I I feel very, very similar to your sentiment about how Instacart, the power that Instacart unlocks, that has really never been in the hands of retailers or brands. Instacart has gotten, in the year of 2020, it has gotten significantly more advanced in the ways that we're able to actually market to a new consumer. Search engine optimization, sure, but then also banners and couponing and very specific like geo-targeting. It's this wild world that we have to be able to respond to quickly and analyze. And it's so cool. Yeah, I'm a big Instacart fan, and I think I've read actually a lot of Carrie Masters' books, like previously, like Amazon for CMOs, and they're very, very pragmatic and practical and well structured, so you can like always go back to it and reference them. So I think the whole suite of these like X for CMO books are fantastic, and I'm just so proud to get to be a part of this one.
Cool.
Both because it's about Instacart and because it's Carrie.
Well, mostly because you're in it, and that's the reason why I bought 5 of them. Actually, I didn't know you were in it until this exact moment. Yeah, well, Carrie's great. Actually, if you want to hear Carrie's POV on Instacart, buy the book, because don't be a jerk. Go buy the book and support someone else in the community who's doing something really cool. But also, we had Carrie on the show kind of explaining the 4-sided marketplace of Instacart and how it is probably the most fair of all to call it a delivery app is to take away the power of what it really is. Mm-hmm. But it's really driving online demand to offline behavior, purchase behavior. But because demand aggregation is happening online, you're capturing a digital customer, and that digital customer is becoming a physical customer for you. It's an incredible way to activate a new behavior for the consumer. So she talks about that in our
episode 197. So that was probably 2 episodes ago. In fact, Ingrid, you are episode 199.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
So we're about to embark
almost
on
at the milestone
200. And I think we might do something a little special.
We're going to try to do something special.
You know.
I don't know what we're going to do. It'll be something.
Something.
What we could do is just let's podcast for 4.5 hours right here, right now. And then we'll split this up into 2 episodes.
Yes.
That's a thing now. I don't get that. Do you listen to podcasts, Ingrid?
I do. Yeah. What I will say is COVID has changed my podcast listening habits. Living in New York for my whole life and just being on the subway and commuting, that was like the time where I would just blaze through every single podcast that I'm subscribed to on a weekly basis and just be like hungry for more. And now I'm finding myself still listening to podcasts. Like I'll go for long walks or I'll, listen to them while I'm doing chores around the house. But now I'm kind of like needing to catch up on all my favorite podcasts rather than being voraciously looking for new ones.
That's a thing that I feel like we have experienced from our podcast listening audience or since the year ago quarantines began, which is people still listen, but they fall behind and binge.
Yeah.
So when you see like a new episode drops and the bulk of the listens that happen are for prior episodes that were sort of adjacent. It's like people are catching up, which is such an interesting behavior. I found a lot of new podcasts during the last 12 months, but that's just me.
I mean, we're always needing some new podcasts. What are you listening to?
It's true. Let me see. I'll pull something up. Oh, there's an interesting... I'm into like some weird podcast stuff now, you guys. So I don't do true crime because there's enough hurt in the world. I don't need to. There is if you're into film podcasts, there is a really interesting high concept show that I'm fascinated with called Screen Drafts. And it is a long form podcast, meaning they are at average 3 hours long. And at the most 5 hours and 30 minutes long is the longest one I've listened to. And it is like a game show where a bunch of film critics kind of come together and they create an ultimate draft around a theme. of their favorite films, and they have rules and they have vetoes and they have rollover vetoes that go to like next episode. It's like a game show. It is amazing. And I'm like, how do we do that on Future Commerce? We're like, let's draft the 5 worst brands of 2020. But that
sounds kind of fun. I'm kind of in on that.
Much fun. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Just record the whole thing. I don't know. Who listens to that, though? 5 hours of retail drafting.
You guys, who listens to 5 hours of any podcast? But I listened to the ultimate Pixar draft where they did every single Pixar movie in order. There's apparently 23 of them. And that's like 6 hours of debating.
I 6 hours of Pixar.
Yeah, I would probably do that too.
Anyway, highly recommend. It's a really interesting, like very hit and miss. I don't care about some themes, but
this is kind of fun. Like now I kind of want to go do the DTC draft of 2021.
Hey, maybe we can work that into maybe that's our episode 200 idea.
Episode 200.
Here's the gist. All right. I think to stand out in podcasting is the same challenge to stand out in the brand world right now. Let's bring this back. Discovery is impossible. It's impossible to find a good podcast. It's really like the best discovery mechanism is someone recommending something to you. And the second best is really just being prolifically like sampling around and trying to figure out like what connects with you and what doesn't. And but it's all suffering from the same challenge, which is there's too much of it. There's too many brands for you to find a good one. There's nobody really providing reviews at scale as what's good and what's bad. Very few people are actually talking about the good stuff. They only talk about the bad stuff. And there's like new ones that launch every day, and you can't tell one end from the other. They're all the same problem. They're just, realized in different ways.
And yet there's so much out there. It's so hard to find the good stuff. And what we end up doing is consuming a bunch of junk.
You need a high concept. Like the high concept is the thing that I think cuts through the noise, and having like something that's explainable, that's like, well, it's a film podcast. Nobody's going to listen to it. But having a concept around it and some rules kind of creates a really interesting dynamic to have a really interesting conversation.
Boundaries, anyone?
Oh gosh, Brian. Your boundaries thing, I think, summoned 2020. So we shan't talk about boundaries ever again.
I know, seriously. We will talk about them again, but it will summon another plague. So
I find it hard, and this goes again for podcasts and for brands. I find that the brands and the podcasts and the music and the movies that are very hard for me to sum up in like a sentence or a tagline that isn't either readily available for me to create in my own head or that they share have been really hard. The brilliant podcast that I actually really, really love and has gotten me through a lot of 2020 is You're Wrong About.
I don't know that one.
It's fantastic. And here's the elevator pitch, and it actually is just written in the name of the podcast. And it's basically all of the stories that we grew up on from the media that we just got so unbelievably wrong. And it's so good. It's like from, Anna Nicole Smith, and like a story about how she was portrayed to be this like, gold digger is the word I kept looking for.
I was going to say bimbo?
Gold digger. And really she just was like this poor girl who like grew up really, really poor and had a child really young and had a really rough upbringing, and found this guy who was like finally able to support her and really loved her and showed her all of this emotion that she had never received before. And just a very, very interesting story that is like layered. And then there's like, they did a whole, I think 3-episode one on Princess Diana and the royal family. And
wow.
It's just such a great, it's a great social commentary. It's a great commentary on the way that media spins things. And but anyway, going back to just the way that it's named is You're Wrong About. And I think that's so brilliant.
That is
good. Name, there's a lot in a name.
We have this argument sometimes amongst ourselves, Brian and I, which is future commerce is kind of descriptive and it also isn't. And whereas Lee's show, Stairway to CEO, is pretty spot on, as you know exactly what to expect from a show named Stairway to CEO. You could guess and you would be right, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. But I actually think, and maybe I'm biased, but I love the name Future Commerce because it encompasses so much. And so like Stairway to CEO, like very neatly falls within the world of future commerce.
Yeah.
True.
And she spent so much of the last 10 months really building, an incredible array of stories, like life stories of people who are like direct to consumer founders, and brand founders and operators. I think that's something that's kind of missing in our space. And I feel like this hidden gem, people will discover it one day and they'll figure it out. Anyway, discoverability is so hard that having this like one kitschy thing is a way to stand out. I don't know if it's the way to stand out forever and like be durable, but it certainly grabs people's attention.
Bundling can help with discoverability.
Oh,
I think so.
Bundles. My team, I torture them about bundles.
Yeah.
There's never enough bundles on our D2C website.
There's not. There's so many opportunities for you could bundle things every which way.
Totally. And I love it. I'm here for all of it.
I've got to ask, what is it like sort of not just being pregnant during the pandemic, but it's a pregnancy that's like life changing because it's your first, right?
Yeah.
Your first baby. And so you're in this sort of like you're buying all the stuff.
Yeah. It's a trip because, I'm the last of this crew to have children, and I've probably had a different experience at it than all of you. And I'm also just one of those people who really digs into all of the research, and I kind of get like a little bit competitive with my registry. Like I have to have the registry of all registries, and I'll like send it to different other like moms. And I have one mom friend who's fantastic, and she's English, and she's like, I'm never going to be able to do the English accent, but she's like, your registry takes the biscuit. Because it's a really complicated and noisy and emotionally driven market. And
the baby category, I feel like, has developed a lot since I was in it.
Yeah, so maybe I would love to like build on what you guys had experienced when you guys were going through this, 100 years ago to now.
Well, I have to.
1 year ago for me, or was it 100 years ago? I don't even know.
I have to ask you the biggest question, the thing that I think would have revolutionized or changed our early parenthood would have been to have like a snoo, which I don't know if you guys know what this is.
Of course I do. I know every single baby thing there is to know right now. I've consumed it all.
Brian, do you know what a snoo is? Do not Google it.
He's already too late.
I may have already Googled it.
God dang it, Brian.
Fast.
Yes,
a snoo. Actually, so for those who don't know,
we had one of these.
No, you did not. This did not exist.
Not the brands. This brands.
Oh yeah, this is probably from Costco. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't.
It was called the Costco brand was called the Snoot.
Yes.
A snoo, for those who don't know, is a brand name of a smart crib, which like can tell that the baby is restless or waking up and can rock it back to sleep.
Okay, I didn't have one of these. I wish I had one of these.
I was going to tell you, Brian, I don't think you had this because this is fairly new.
I just had a bassinet. That's all I had.
Right. Yeah. What's normal. This is also a very, very unique price point of $1,300.
Yeah. You know what? When you're up at 3:00 in the morning for the 12th day in a row, you'll pay any amount of money.
Oh, totally. That's what they're banking on. Yeah.
And you will. And it's, I feel like that would have been a total game changer as a parent. I don't know. That's the biggest thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, side note on that, going back to the registry wars that I will win at any cost. we actually registered for the Graco version of the snoo, the ripoff of the snoo, which is called like sense to cry or cry to sense or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's $250. It's not nearly, so the snoo is very sleek looking. It's like this mid-century modern chic bassinet. And quite frankly, if the baby would sleep in it for more than like 3 or 4 months, I do actually think it's a good investment. But they're in it for like not long enough to justify, like that's double the price of a regular crib, like a nice regular crib.
Right.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try this sense to snooze thing. And there's also a bunch, here's the other fun part that I've been doing. The YouTube culture, like YouTuber culture of baby products and baby
hacks. That did not exist. Go on. Tell me more about that. That did not exist 11 years ago for me.
Forget it. Yeah. It is the most intoxicating thing. I have binged hours of YouTuber content on like baby must-haves and things that they like regret buying, things that you should splurge on, things that you shouldn't splurge on. It is a wide and deep world of content that, quite frankly, has built my entire baby registry. I'm so commercially motivated by the videos. And especially coming from my point of view, where like I am usually the person that is like hiring the YouTubers or putting in the product placements and like all of that, I am 1000% like, sign me up. I will buy everything that you tell me to buy. I have no idea. And I'm relying on you to just tell me and lead me through this very complicated world.
Interesting. The YouTube is like the format you go to for this, as opposed to some of the other platforms out there. I feel like it's actually like the right use case for YouTube, like right in line with like how YouTube is used. And like,
I go right to YouTube for search all the time now for a certain thing, and it's this weird thing that my brain does. Like, I don't have a conscious thought of where should I go search for this. I search YouTube for certain things, and I search Google for certain things, and I search Amazon for certain things. So my defaults have changed.
It's like when you want to learn about something for the first time, YouTube is like the fastest way. Not like a topic in like history, like Wikipedia is still really easy, like obvious choice there. But like for anything that you need to actually do, that you want to do, like it's like YouTube's the immediate go-to, or buy as well, because so much review content on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You're probably not there yet, but I'm curious what the impact of potential resale value or like residual value of these investments you're making in baby stuff. Does that impact your purchase behavior at all right now?
So like knowing that knowing if I buy a snoo that I can probably just resell it for $1,000 or whatever.
Exactly.
Quite frankly, that just seems like a lot of work for a very tired mom. That seems like it would justify the purchase, but it would never actually happen. And so I think the beneficiary of that would be the brand.
But do you think that there's just asking another question, by the way, the answer I would have preferred is absolutely yes. And then I would say, oh, that's great, because that's part of our Vision 2021 report that had a great theme that mapped.
I have a comment on this. Finish your thought.
No, that was like, go ahead.
So my comment on this is, especially with baby stuff, I think you end up wanting to pass it along to another person, which still plays into our report.
A snoo?
Definitely.
Yes. No, even a snoo.
Product eternal.
Eternal. Yeah. So it's going to, like, it's still going to have a second life. You're right. You only use it for a short period of time. But oftentimes what you find yourself doing is like, friends and family that have babies after you, you're like, oh, I have
even cars. I mean, car seats. Yeah, I've got all the stuff. Yeah, there's always a need for it to go to someone else, right?
Especially like clothes too, because you're like, oh, like I don't want to like give these to strangers, like they're my kids' clothes. Like you end up passing them on to someone I don't know.
I don't care. I'm like, I grab that stuff and I just pitch it. And I'm like,
what happens to your kids' Jordans
out of my sight
when they're done wearing them? Because they don't.
Well, my kids just got their first Jordans. Yes, exactly. Do you remember going to like McDonald's in the 80s and they had like baby shoes that were in like bronzed, that were like, does anyone remember this was like,
I was a baby in the 80s.
Same.
Shut up, Brian. All right. So anyway, what about Ingrid? And tell me if this line of questioning starts to get annoying. Do you think that your change of scenery impacted, think about like what it was like to be in Brooklyn and the way you would have purchased for your social network and community there, and sort of like, does that change the way that, like, is the Graco good enough in Brooklyn, or would you have changed your sort of decision making for the new environs that you live in now?
What are you saying about Seattle right now? Come on now.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying that
valid question. I think about that. I think that the rest of my requests for things and things that I want are still very much in like the hoity-toity Brooklyn world, and that probably, yeah, like I still want the Baby Bjorn things, and especially the things that are going to like be in my home that are on display of some sort, like changing. Sorry, I'm losing my words here. The where they sit at the table, the high chair.
Yeah, high chair, yes.
Like that is a very visible. So there's like, of course, I ordered like an Italian designed high chair. It's going to be at my dining room table,
right.
And like the little swing that they're on, like that's going to be a gray color. Like there's not going to be a single like primary color of child things. Like there's no like bright reds and yellows and greens and blues in my house. Like it's all neutral tones and like comforting, light mint color and light gray and gender neutral. And so there's no like Toys R Us color story happening. So I think that might answer your question and also make everyone want to vomit.
I think you're onto something here, which is while a lot of like the colors and such are for baby, because babies are absorbing everything as they grow up. Also, a lot of it's for you.
Yeah.
It's you and for your guests, right? When you have people over, you're like, this is the sort of environment that I live in and want to live in, and you do live in. And so like their high chair, like they're thinking about the food that's on the tray, right? And they're like, and they're absorbing the fact that they're in wood or whatever, but like the fact that it was made in Italy,
probably
not so much. Yeah.
No. That's entirely for me. And also how easy it is to clean. So like, don't get me wrong. Yes. I want it to be practical, but I will not get those like hideous primary color ones that are just plastic.
Oh, do not get the trays that you like, that are like have nooks and crannies in them. They're the worst.
There's let me it's like put it in perspective of the time in which, I assume most of this has been done online.
Oh, all of it.
Yeah. We went to Babies R Us and had like a scanner gun. That was our wedding, our baby registry. That was like an online registry in 2010 would have been very novel.
Oh,
we had an Amazon registry that literally nobody shopped on for us. Right.
Wow. And now, I have to shout this out. The registry that we ended up using is called Baby List, and it is effing brilliant.
Is it?
So, yeah. It aggregates, it has all of the items, right? And it aggregates pricing. So you're like, this is the Graco, bassinet that I want. And then it tells the buyer all 3 or 4 places where you can buy it and the going price.
Fantastic.
And so you're not forcing your guests to go to Amazon or go to Target or go to wherever, Pottery Barn. And so it's completely like retailer agnostic. And then they layer on top of that content. So they're like the top 10 car seats of 2021. And then just like, boom, add it right then and there. And then I'm just staring at my plugin on my browser, and there's like a little add to Baby List plugin.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there you go. Browser plugin for registry.
Whoever has thought of Baby List is a genius.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's Wow. No, I'm sure that existed in some fashion, but it was much more decentralized. Like all of that information was available online for sure. I mean, YouTube existed when I had our first, kid, but
I just did a little lookup of baby lists. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It's ex-Amazon developer and raised capital from Chris Messina.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That's interesting to me.
They hit it.
It's
they hit it right.
An incredible place to have, a great CX, journey from like shopping on other sites to shopping on this site to having content and commerce together. That makes so much sense. We didn't have, I don't think we had it like that. Amazon reviews was big when we were, it was early on for us. And, but most of we couldn't really get people to buy. That was maybe factored into our purchase decision, but we weren't a Prime household at that point. I believe the thing that made us a Prime household, I'm going to have to go back and double check this. I believe the thing that made us a Prime household was Subscribe and Save and diapers, because we were on diapers.com early. And then we shifted gears and went over to Amazon for diapers. Mm. And that's the era in which we had our kids, and it was like Target and Babies R Us, and that was the baby registry that we had, and you just kind of got what you got there. It feels like there's so much more choice now, especially in the clothing and bedding space. Like there's really, really amazing like small brands that create really and even Etsy creators that do some really interesting stuff for baby.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. This plays right into the new DIY and also the enthusiast economy. Like this is sort of the ultimate enthusiast economy, because you're sort of once you have your baby, there's no going back. Like you become an enthusiast. You love your child. You're going to be all about your baby, and so you're automatically thrown into becoming an enthusiast about being a parent and like stepping into that. What does that look like? And I think that the new DIY plays into this because we have so much choice now, and we have Etsy, and we have these options. I think it sort of all ties together. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's also funny because I can't tell. A lot of it seems like there's a path for each type of mom, so it's like there's a pattern that the sustainable minimalist eco mom buys, and then there's the bougie mom that like won't have anything but the snoo, and the brand, all the fancy branded terms, and then there's like the Target mom who's just like, I gotta be a mom now and figure this out and get all the things, and I don't know where to start. And there's just all of these mommy personas, and I feel like the marketing behind it and the product development behind it is very much keen to that and plays into that.
I feel like they're early adopters of a lot of things we've talked about, like connection to customer, supporting their customer, building out communities. Like this is like there's probably a case study in here, maybe with the bump or something, around how the sort of baby economy has actually spurred a lot of the innovation in the rest of our industry. I would imagine so.
Yeah, it is so connective. And just going back real quick to the YouTuber thing. So my favorite mommy YouTuber is Jess Hoover. And she's this like laid back, like California cool mom. And she's kind of like, she has 3 kids now, and she's always just like, she keeps it very real, and she's not judgmental, and she kind of makes it like fun of the very judgmental mommy culture. And so when she came out with a product line and a website, and it's called like the Very Good Mothers Club. And it's basically just joke on like how everyone is a very good mother, and like you're just doing the best that you possibly can. And she's always talking about how like, I have my 3 kids, and it's not very easy, and we're not like super, super rich. And these are the things that I actually use. I'm not selling anything that I don't myself use on one of my 3 children. And she just comes at it from like a very real point of view. And I think that it's so interesting watching like an influencer go from recommending products to then having their own website where they not only like create products, but also sell third party, other brands, things like that. And it's just, again, this like really natural evolution to Brian's point that I think mommies and that type of industry is spearheading more so than any other.
Hey, Phillip here to tell you about our newest sponsor, Octane AI. If you are on Shopify or Shopify Plus, and who isn't, am I right? Then you need what Octane AI has to offer. I am a huge fan of guided selling, and Octane AI has tools that allow you to get to know your customers on a deeper level and collect more buyer profile data. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you can use things like shop quizzes, Facebook Messenger, SMS, and opt-in tools to allow you to engage your customer more personally so you can get on their level. More personalized campaigns and flows across all channel means more ROI. And that ROI that is driven from Octane AI is usable in other platforms with their integrations to other tools you're already using. Brands have already seen incredible results, up to 16x increase in email signups and a 28% increase in AOV. That's average order value, money in your pocket. What are you waiting for? Octane AI has plans for any sized business. Future Commerce listeners get 20% off the first 6 months when you sign up. So why don't you sign up today? Go to octaneai.com/future. Once again, that's octaneai.com/future and tell them Phillip sent you. This is something that I knew instinctively that obviously this is like, look at Ryan Kanji, right? In Ryan's world, obviously creators, content creators can become prolific licensees. I don't know. They become brands unto themselves.
Yeah.
And you quickly find them. I guess it never occurred to me that, this can absolutely happen in this sort of like expertise of, the early stages of childhood and development and, having a baby and transitioning that part of your life. Like, of course. And you know what, actually, this is such an interesting topic because primarily these are things you only get one shot at buying.
Right.
Like you really it's such a short time of your life where you're kind of wrapped up in this moment. Like, things kind of settle down after 4 or 5 years and you kind of like they're kids that just, wipe their own butts and, and like, they kind of feed themselves and and then they start kind of sort of like over time, they become a lot more like, normal, everyday functioning human beings. There's this short period of time wherein you need a lot of stuff to get them to act, to just survive. And that's, you only get one shot to do that well.
Yeah. And
that's like high stakes.
And an additional stress about it, at least for me, is that so much of it is still like plastic, like not single use plastic, but just like the bathtubs and the whatever. And I'm just like, I don't want to buy all this plastic, but they don't make it in wood or it wouldn't make any sense or, and so it's like, I'm going to buy a baby bathtub, which of course is going to be plastic. Like it has to be the rock star of all baby tubs. And I have to like peruse through hours and hours of reviews online and watching YouTubes to know which baby bathtub I have to buy because I have to make this piece of plastic purchase work.
Side note, products made with wood are going to be hot coming up in the next couple of years. Total prediction. That I think there's going to be a lot.
There's a bunch of wood things.
Yeah, wood is in
registry. Yeah,
wood's totally in, and I think there's going to be more and more stuff coming up here.
But by the way, lumber just in general is becoming pretty scarce and very expensive.
It's true. Yes.
So that's a whole. There might be cost prohibitive there on the prediction. Bri. So there's a something totally slept on is I remember like the way that we bought things was we didn't know that we needed them. And then you have to rush out and go get them. And maybe this is like, I'm just going to throw one or two things at you. And by the way, I didn't mean to spend 30 minutes on baby stuff if you want to switch gears, but I'm loving it.
I'm any kind of like home decor and baby stuff is like all I can possibly talk about these days.
You're like, you're in it, you're nesting,
and
you're like, you're ready. A kneeling pad. Do you know that you need a kneeling pad? Have you realized this yet?
Like for bath time and stuff?
Yeah.
They're in the tub. I didn't think of that. In my head, I have gone through this scenario and I was just going to put a towel down.
Yes, that's what I did.
Gosh, do I just have like really sensitive knees or something?
I kind of do too. So I haven't tried out the towel thing. So maybe I'm going to have to hit you up for your knee guard.
Kneeling. I mean, that's the problem.
Do you have like a bath? Like, I don't know.
Brian, listen, man, there's
extra sensitive knees. You
gotta try the kneeling pad. All right, my dude.
Kneeling pad.
You gotta try the kneeling pad.
Is it like squishy?
It's squishy. It's squishy. We're both. You're not watching video if you're listening to this show, but we're both like making the Pac-Man thing with our fingers. It's very squishy, and it makes it more comfortable. And if you have more than one kid and you got to bath both of them, then you're going to be on your knees for a long time. Brian has an entire zoo. I don't see how, like, you must have the toughest knees of any person.
Yeah, man. I think that's probably what happened. Like, I don't even notice anymore.
His knees are two gigantic calluses.
Yeah.
They're like 3 inches thick. His knees.
Back to baby products for a second. I think you just demonstrated something that I did want to talk about within the baby industry and then at large. And that is within the baby world. You get people, you get white hot centers around products. Like, you get people who are like, oh, you don't have the such and such. You have to have the such and such. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you don't love your child.
You can't even get by without this. How could you even be a parent without this? Like, you get into like
Brian.
Sophie the giraffe. Like, that was a big thing when we were.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that thing?
Dated myself right there because I had kids when I was young. So yeah, it was like,
what is Sophie the giraffe?
It was like
the giraffe.
Yeah, like everyone had this giraffe, this giraffe toy. Yeah, and it was like a thing. Yeah,
like giraffe toy.
Yeah, everyone had it back when my kids were little.
I feel like you guys are both hazing me. This does not sound like a thing.
It was a thing. I'm also old, apparently. This is the part where I feel older than you, Philip, which is not true.
These things. So, but let me just say, like, those things sort of come in and out of fashion, Brian.
They do.
Like, what?
Absolutely.
Those things are very fashionable. A kneeling pad is forever. I want to remind you.
Oh my gosh, the kneeling pad.
But if you go on Amazon right now, you're going to get 3,000 kneeling pads of all kinds of shapes and sizes and price points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we had back in my day. It's whatever you had at Target. That was the kneeling pad you got. It was like whatever the buyer at Target decided to get that season is the one you got.
I mean, it's still true for me at Costco, but you know.
Do we need that much variation? And this is the problem, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I would so much rather have the one kneeling pad that is available to me at Target than the 6,000 that are on Amazon, because now I have
that's an interesting
anxiety.
Oh, wow.
Totally.
That's
gosh. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. No. Pull on that thread for a second. That's insane.
For example, this is good. So I'm clearly remember I'm very proud of my registry and how I think it's the best on earth.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
And so I'm about to sell it for like lots of. I'm going to NFT that
was a good one.
And
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So mind you. I have 4 best friends since like childhood. All 4 of us are in various stages of pregnancy right now at the exact same time.
Wow.
One of them, who's like the last in our thread, she's like 8 weeks behind me. And so I'm like, girl, I'm going to give you the greatest gift ever. I'm going to give you my registry, and you should just copy it.
This is how you know it's love. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, just give. And so she's like, oh, my friend Amy, who's now on her like third kid or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, she sent me like a Word document of all the stuff that she suggests to buy. And I'm like, oh, send it to me. I'm just curious. So I look at it and it says like bassinet. And then it says like baby tub. And I was like, this isn't even scratching the surface of what you need. The level of detail is not here. Which bassinet, which tub, which and it's so funny because she's very sweet and kind of naive about all of this, being like not realizing the depths of options and brands and messaging and everything that's connected to making these decisions. It just says bassinet.
Just says bassinet. What kind of a monster?
A draft for baby products. That's what we need to do.
But at the same time, now let's take like 10 steps back here. The person with the list that just says bassinet is significantly happier than I am. I can tell you.
Okay.
Because they're not stressed about which brand or the Snoo versus the Graco versus the Halo and all, like there's just so much that like is it so impressive that I've done this with my baby registry, or am I just an actual psychopath?
Yeah, but that person with bassinet in my mind is chaotic evil. They're just like whatever bassinet happens to exist when they need one is the one they're going to get.
That's just pragmatic, though.
That's the monoculture. That's the monoculture at work right there. It's like
the simplicity of that is so impressive to me.
Is it? It's freeing almost.
I think you have to pick your battles here. Like, I think there is a time and a place to get like just thinking back to my baby days, and they were many and long.
Many. He has a lot of kids. You guys.
Football team.
Yeah. Basically, I don't know, somewhere in that range.
He has 4 kids. It's not that. I mean, it's a lot, but they're all boys, so it kind of counts as 8.
The thing is, there's certain things where if you get it wrong, it will have a significant impact on you. Like
the kneeling pad, for instance.
Kneeling pad.
He's been paid by Big Kneeling Pad.
Yeah,
definitely some sponsorship going on here.
Yeah, I'm on the take with Big Kneeling Pad.
It's an industry ad. Like it was an industry association for kneeling pads.
Exactly. There probably is actually.
Poor Brian. Brian, finish your thought.
No, but like
the Kneeling Pad Association.
Bottles are really important to get right. Like if you're going to use a bottle,
really?
Oh yeah, because like some bottles cause a lot of problems for some of our kids.
You're so loud right now. Hold on. Wait. What about the bottles? What about the bottles?
Microphone. Some of the bottles cause problems. They caused issues for our children, like with like tummy issues and so on.
Really?
Like, yes.
See, we didn't have that. We just got the one that was like it said it didn't have BPA, like it was BPA free. Done bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe that didn't matter to you. You got to pick your battles. Like you went pragmatic on that. Bottle. I need a bottle. I'm going to buy a bottle. You just bassineted it.
That's true.
Bassineted it.
I'm fascinated by the brands, at least in big box retail, that are baby brands that you don't really equate to being baby brands, like Philips. To me, Philips and Norelco are like, it's the shaver brand or it's the like random home appliance brand, but they make all the bottles. Like you go and there's a Philips Avent bottle and that's the one. And if you go to a grocery store or you go to a big box store, that's the one you're going to get. And if you want another one, good luck. I don't know if there has been.
Oh yeah.
Like, is there a direct to consumer bottle now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot actually. So just going into both. So the bottles and the pacifiers are deep wormholes that one can find themselves in that I may or may not have swam down deep into. But now the brilliant thing, again, my ever loving baby list moment, is they have created sample packs of bottles and pacifiers for you to test before you go and buy the whole like baby bottle ecosystem, because of course you're going to do that. And so they give you like the top 6 brands, and you can see which one your fussy baby.
You're gonna you're going to do a you're going to do like a study with your kid with the 6 bottles in the sampler pack, and you're going to ask them to fill out an NPS. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this to your other friends and babies?
Yep.
And baby's like 9, and you're like, promoter.
This is personal data. This is why we're all going to have more data in a single day coming up in the coming decade than we recorded in all of 2020.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the baby data. Well,
exactly.
Let's talk about this. So there's like the changing pad that is on my registry. It weighs your baby.
There it is. This is it.
Oh, and no way.
That you can track, like, well, because there's all these questions like you're breastfeeding. And so it's like, are they actually eating? And so you can actually weigh your baby before and after you
shut your mouth.
Make sure that they actually got some of your breast milk.
I remember very distinctly trying to weigh weigh Camille when she was really young, and like the only thing we had was like a Weight Watchers like analog scale in the
that you stand on holding the baby.
It's like no. This was like a food scale where we had a bowl that we put our actual live human being child inside of, like a popcorn bowl, and we weighed her.
That's horrible. Maybe you can pass that down to me. I'm about to drop $180 on this changing table with a friggin' scale on it.
Wow. I said that out loud. I just told everybody that we weighed our child in a popcorn bowl.
So cute.
That's never, like, I can never unsay that. It's a thing that
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know,
this was 10 years ago. Like, we didn't have the technology of today back then
I struggle to think too, like we realized with the kind of sort of knock-on effects of having a kid for us, it was, I had an Acura RDX at the time, and that was my daily driver. Very nice, crossover, sort of middling luxury car. The problem is that when we did not consider the size of a rear-facing car seat when we bought this car 3 years before we had a baby. So this is not a car that 2 human adults can sit in the front seat with a rear-facing car seat in the back seat. It wouldn't even fit in the middle. And it was like the rear-facing car seat and the situation there, like, immediately made us kick out to a minivan, because that, like, I didn't want to be a minivan family, but we had to make a decision around what to buy that would fit our child. And it was like, we had to change our car because it was like not going to work. And there you go. Like, you become this person you don't want to become and make decisions sort of in isolation that, like, you wonder how other people become the parent that you don't want to be. It's like, they didn't want to be that parent either. But now you're a minivan, owning person. And like, you just one slippery slope decision at a time.
My husband and I think about this we talk about this all the time, and specifically around the music that we are going to play, like, around our child. And so, like, we are a hip hop family. And so we listen to a lot, but we listen to hip hop from like the 90s and 2000s. And so there's a lot of like Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. and that type of stuff, which to us is like the coolest of the cool thing. But then they're going to be like, oh, Mom, no more Tupac. And that's just so weird. But now we're just basically like, we listen to the oldies station with like Nelly on it.
Oh, the oldies has Nelly?
No,
oldies has Nelly.
There's a radio station out here in Seattle that plays like hip hop basically now oldies because it's from like 20 years ago. It's like
It's
2000.
true.
Whoa, hold on. You
Playing
listen to the radio? That's
when we're
amazing.
driving every so often. Yeah, we listen to a podcast, which, you know, The Rewatchables is another great podcast. Anyway, we listen to the radio every so often because this one station plays like, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
And so we're like listening to Nelly, and then we're thinking about how we think it's hella cool. And then our kid is going to be like, this is the lamest thing ever. Like, stop making me listen to Nelly, Ma.
But that's,
Ma.
you know, what's really great about this is that like, you're going to screw your kid up no matter what you try to do. So you might as well enjoy yourself. Like we had a very similar sort of thing where I was like, how do I incept my kids to have good taste? Because I'm pretty sure that whatever I like, they're going to hate. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, so we wind up, you know, listening to things that no one likes because, you know.
Yep.
So I just decided, you know what, like you get in my car and you're going to hear the Smashing Pumpkins. I don't care what decade it is. And I'm sorry, I'm now that guy. And you know what? My kids actually have grown up pretty cool. And they, you know, they like that music, or they tolerate it anyway. And, you know, they do some air guitar to it and like it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, just to plug the minivan real quick, I can listen to whatever the HE double hockey sticks I want because they have a TV in the back with headphones, and they aren't even in the same universe that I am for the entirety of a drive. It's kind of amazing.
Wow. That's another layer of the demolition of monoculture.
It's true.
They don't even
wow.
have to listen to your music because they can in their own world.
That's true.
What
do you know what my kids do?
This
is insane.
Bad,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, they have Alexas in their room. They do their own thing. They are super into K-pop.
Yeah,
like very into K-pop, and it's like influenced by Just Dance and some other stuff. You know, like they're very into K-pop, and like what little exposure they have to whatever popular music might be is like. It's actually not very relevant or current. It's informed by whatever on-demand thing has piqued their interest to date.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. I'm like, what? My daughter is humming to herself and like singing while doing dishes. My youngest daughter, Pierce. And I'm like, what are you singing? And she's like, Dad, it's In the Navy by the Village People. And I'm like, what? And I said, why are you singing that? She's like, it's on Just Dance.
Wow.
Interesting.
Like she has I don't even know if she has a concept of what is quote unquote on the radio. Like whatever's current right now is irrelevant.
Right.
And like even that part of monoculture has died. It's like the only things that are relevant are the things that are influencing them at this exact moment, which is entirely time shifted and has nothing to do
not linear at all.
I think that's happening to everyone. I don't think that's just happening to kids. Like that is a really astute point about culture at large right now. We are influenced by whatever it is that's like happening, like whatever, or like maybe we bump into something on the internet and we're like, oh, I'm going to listen to that now. I don't really have a tastemaker in music that's dedicated to music.
Yeah.
I have tastemakers from everywhere that are introducing me to new things all the time. Like it is true death of monoculture. I absolutely agree with that.
And even like a step further to that, to your point that you made, Philip, I think is brilliant, is like even time and space doesn't matter. Like things that were popular in the 60s and 70s or whatever. Like think about even that TikTok that went viral with the Ocean Spray cranberry.
Yeah, the
song,
Fleetwood Mac song.
Fleetwood Mac, right? And it's like how many people were introduced to Fleetwood Mac from TikTok, and it's like
it's true.
Song had a moment at that time. It's just so interesting,
and it charted, which was really interesting.
Yeah. Like anything can have a moment. Anything, like that's interesting. That's interesting.
That was really actually profound what you said, Brian, in that context, but out of context, it's like, well, duh. But you're right. Anything can come back. And I think that there's this really interesting moment right now as you know, you're thinking of this as a parent too. Like there's things that I grew up on that I want to introduce to my kids.
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I want my kids to have the childhood that I had from like a media perspective. Like I want them to like be exposed to some of the cool stuff. Like to me, I'm like, you have to
Some
watch.
of it's not very good, just so you know.
No, I figured this out.
Yeah.
I figured this out.
Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, I feel like
they hold up. Yeah, for sure. Although they have destroyed Mr. Rogers for modern culture. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is an abomination and should never have existed.
Oh, really? That's such a bummer.
It's so bad. Don't. But you're going to wind up watching it, even if you try not to.
It's true.
There's an interesting. So Sesame Street's still very good on HBO Max, by the way. Very, very good. A lot of things that I held dear as a kid growing up in the 80s. The Neverending Story does not hold up. Terrible movie.
Yeah.
Bad movie. Bad. Huge.
Even a lot of Spielberg doesn't hold up very well. I know that's blasphemy, but it's actually not that good.
You know what's funny? You know what holds up? This will blow your freaking mind, Brian Lang. Swiss Family Robinson. Like movies made before technology infiltrated cinema actually are still really great stories and still hold up.
Well, it's a lot of like classic literature that came out of that, like Treasure Island and that whole like old classic Disney category. My kids like Swiss Family Robinson. They thought it was fun. I remember enjoying that as a kid.
So it's a good romp.
I think to your point though, like for me, like my 7-year-old was like, "Hey mom, can you play Spring by Vivaldi? I really like that part." And like,
oh my gosh,
that's I think the point I'm trying to make is not that my kids like classical music, and that's not all of them. One of them's like, "Can you play Imagine Dragons?" And I'm like, "Oh no." But
your kids' musical tastes run the gamut, man.
My musical tastes run the gamut too. But the point I'm making is that good is good. Like when something is quality, if it's done well, it's like you can have something incredible come from anywhere. If it's done well, like then it's worthy of like introducing.
Yeah.
So
sea shanty TikTok is a great example of that.
Exactly. That's where everything lands. Like comes back to. It's all back to sea shanty TikTok.
If we had to sort of wrap this up, Ingrid, where did you land? Where did you land on the musical choices thing? Did you made a decision? You're already acclimating to it now to kind of prepare yourself for a world that doesn't have Cisco in it. Is that the thing that you're?
No. I think we're gonna. We also listen to a lot of like classic rock and R&B and really love like funky jazz, and it's just all sorts of different things. But it's just funny because that one station is what we listen to in the car, and so they're definitely going to grow up learning all of the words to "It's getting hot in here," and that's okay.
3 years old, the thong song is just dropping hard bars on the thong song.
Also, like the violin in the thong song is fantastic. There's no lowbrow about the thong song in my opinion.
That's so funny. We did something. So we tried very early on. We like censored a lot of media when the kids were like immediately born. We like just changed everything, all our consumption habits. Like, let's just make it like totally acceptable for kids. And then I realized this is a 4-day-old infant who maybe I shouldn't have explosions on the TV that will scare it awake. But let's just be honest. I can still watch Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
it's not gonna, I don't have to sit here at 11 p.m. while the child is asleep next to me watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It's
100%. The one place that I do think we have aligned to put our foot down on is like obnoxious children's television shows. Like there's a bunch of weird like Nickelodeon TV shows that have the most obnoxious children starring in them.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately for you,
no, I can't do it.
just try it. But you know what? Peppa Pig was on repeat for a little while in our house, and despite everything I wanted,
jerk, isn't there? There's like the other kids show.
Caillou is a jerk. Caillou is a complete flipping jerk.
Forget the kid.
Exactly.
Forget You by CeeLo Green
exactly.
is playing in Ingrid's car. On the oldies station. You're right though. I think like there's a show going around right now called Bluey, and thank goodness my kids are a little too old for it. Because they're sort of into the like live action, like pre-tween drama stuff now. But I'm thinking like, I don't know, it's kind of you whether you like it or not, if it pacifies your kid, you're going to like it. Yeah. And that's that's your hierarchy of needs shifts around a little bit.
Yeah, we'll pick our battles.
Yeah. What is it?
We'll pick our battles.
Pick your battles.
You have to pick the battles. Pick the battles.
Always.
For sure.
Everything. Picking your battles is the way to go.
On your registry list, just write children's programming. And don't be too picky about which one it is. This has been amazing to have you.
Oh man.
Where should you have to send us your registry privately directly, so we can.
You just need to publish it. Actually, you're right. You know what? Publish it on an NFT.
I'm going to NFT it, and then I'm going to sell it.
Do it. It costs you a lot of money to mint things on the blockchain right now. I don't know if you've looked into it.
No, I know. I'm kidding. I probably won't. But I love the idea that I could.
You know, you could probably get something for it. It could be a thing. I think that's a thing. Ingrid, it's always awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks.
The best.
You're amazing. Thank you all for listening. I'll take us home if that's okay, Brian.
Do it.
All right. Don't miss anything that we create because it's all important to you because commerce touches everything and we have the ability to change commerce. So, hey, you can go get all the stuff at futurecommerce.fm/subscribe and grab our newest report. It was months and months and months of work, and it's going to help you save months and months and months of time of trying to figure out where to take your retail business next. And that's called Vision 2021. You can get it at futurecommerce.fm/vision. And get one of our 2 newsletters, or heck, why not both of them? The census comes out every Friday, Tuesday. We have a new edition of Insider's long-form essay about the things that should matter to you and your retail business. You can get both of them. Subscribe with just one email and get both for absolutely free. And you can get that at futurecommerce.fm/subscribe. All right. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time. Episode 199. Can you believe it? This is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
See you at 200.
Better than being
Bye.
200. I like
yeah.
Bye.